Alright, today's story will be about a construction site and a very weird kid. Okay, so like I said at the beginning, this story is about a day out when I went to a construction site with two people from my school. One of them was a bit weird and another one was a friend that I spoke to quite a bit. There was both friends, but one of them was a bit weird. So we met up after school and we decided to go to this abandoned building that was up the road, which I think was a care home. So we got up to this place and started walking around trying to find a way in. Round the back of the premises there was a railing next to a door which was underneath a broken window so we could get in. I climbed up first to show them how to actually do it, and when we was in we walked round obviously, and there was a top floor, a middle floor and a basement. So we went top, middle and then the basement obviously in order. There was nothing really interesting in the building besides some rusty razors and some other sharp objects. So we decided to leave and see if there was anything else to explore, and we found a construction site which was close to our school, and we decided, alright, we'll just get into here. So I climbed over the spiky fence first because it was only a small one, and put my jacket over the spikes so they would be able to climb in. So them two got over the original fence and were like, hey, there's a security camera there. I was like, where's this security camera, looking round, and then I turned round and there was just a security camera just staring me right in the face. So I grabbed this motherfucker and ripped it clean off this fence and launched it over the fence, and then we had to get under another fence that was there, so we just went under because there was just a big hole underneath we could just crouch under, and we started walking round, and there was like some diggers in the distance which me and this weird kid went to explore because the other kid we was with was a bit too scared because he wasn't exactly the bravest in these situations because he didn't want to get caught and get done, which is understandable. So I was climbing on top of these diggers, and then we decided to go back because there was nothing really there, and there was back where this other kid was waiting for me and the weird kid was these big black like plastic pallets stacked upon each other. So we climbed on top of these big pallets, and there was nothing really there. We just liked jumping across them and in between them and stuff, and we sat on there for a good hour, an hour and a half at least, just running around jumping on these big pallets and knocking some of them over because as you pushed them over there was so much weight when it hit the ground it just split the packaging that was around it and just knocked them all on the floor. And to get this other kid up, not the weird one, we had to knock some over and build a little ladder because he wasn't the best at climbing, which is quite funny. So we had to do that to allow him access onto these big things. And while we was on there, the weird kid, this is why he's known as a weird kid in this story, he was like, I need a shit. So we was like, you're just gonna have to wait, and he's like, no, I'm gonna do one here. So we were just like, just go on then, do it, just having a joke around with him. And he told us to get off these big pallets and not look. So we jumped off these pallets and stood on this hill next to it, turned round at him, he were bare ass naked to the world with his ass in between these pallets just shitting, shit just in between these pallets. And then he pulled some like tissues to blow your nose out of his pocket and started wiping his ass with them. And it was just so funny how this kid just decided to take a shit in the middle of this construction site. He only wiped once as well, which isn't. It's just like, that's a bit not right. So yeah. After that, we just went the separate ways because there was nothing else to do. So I walked the other kid home, and because the weird kid didn't live too far from the other kid, so I walked them home, and then I walked home, and then we normally just speak about it whenever we're together, and it's just funny because this just so weird kid just randomly, and it's not the first time he's done it as well. There's a tree in the woods near McDonald's where we live, and apparently this kid climbed one of the trees, hung from one of the branches and took a shit from it. And there's about 3 or 4 different people that can vouch and say that he actually did this. So yeah, that's just the story of how I went to a construction site and a friend there took a shit in the middle of the construction site. Which, now you think of it, it's quite funny because imagine You're a worker, you move the pallets, and there's just a human shit in between it. So yeah, that's gonna be the video for now. I hope you enjoyed, and always remember, stay frosty.